Right, 7:37, top boxing promoter. He predicted it, that Klitschko would be too strong, too good, too heavy. Frank Warren joins us now. Frank, good morning.
Morning, Frank.
Morning, Alan. Morning, Ronnie.
Frank, I just want you to touch on the point about, get in there, hit him. But Klitschko had it spot on. He had the massive advantage, reach. I think his jab was much, much faster, quicker than anyone imagined, Frank. And Haye just couldn't do it, and he couldn't get near him.
No, he couldn't. There's no doubt about that. But the other side of it is how much you do want to get near him. I mean, you're talking about disparity of size, and you think of really good quality fighters, and you think of Evander Holyfield, who was a cruiserweight champion, same weight, didn't weigh much heavier than David Haye when he fought. And think of the fights that he had with Lennox Lewis, who was probably the same size as Klitschko. The fights he had with Riddick Bowe. He was a superb champion, Holyfield, and I think that's the difference. He's a former cruiserweight champion who wanted it more. Now, if you're in there, you're the champion. I mean, I always say this, that you've got to go in there and you've got to give it 100%. And for me, there wasn't 100% showing there. When you look at last week, you look at Matthew Macklin against Sturm. If he'd have shown what Matthew Macklin had done, maybe he'd have connected with Klitschko, but it just wasn't there.
Do you think he's going the whole 12 rounds, Frank, here, David Haye, with a mind on maybe a rematch?
Well, I don't think there's ever be a rematch. I mean, what is the point of watching that again? I mean, a couple of judges, I think, just give him a round, and I only gave him
because of points deduction, wasn't there as well? Yeah.
Yeah, I was being kind and giving him a round. Who wants to go through that exercise again? I mean, the nonsense about the toe is, I just think who wants to hear that after the fight? They're the things you should know going into the fight. If I'm a fan, do I want to buy a ticket to see a guy if he's got a broken toe? Do I want to buy that on pay-per-view? Do I want to have a bet knowing that? Yeah, it's a nonsense.
Frank, I'll be honest with you, I'd watch that. If there was a rematch at the O2 in London, I'd go and watch it. Because I think there's always a chance that he could catch him. He caught him a couple of times and rocked him last round, rocked him a little bit.
I don't think he rocked him. I don't think that was the case, Alan. And of course, anyone who can punch if they catch it, but it's a big if. And you can only do that if you commit yourself. Punchers commit themselves. Once you start letting your shots go, that's when you've become vulnerable to the counter. And he didn't do that. Because I think all the time he was worried about being clipped. For me, the fight was always one of those fights where the bigger man was going to use, all his attributes, which is what he did with his jab and occasionally letting the right hand go. But the big man was walking forward all the time. He wasn't backing off him.
No.
You'd like to see...
To be fair to Haye, he did take a couple of big shots, Frank, because we talk about the chin, but he did take them. He didn't go down, Frank.
I don't think he got caught cleanly anyway. And the difference between that, again, which, is my view, I mean, obviously people have got other ones, is that if you're fighting a guy who's not coming to fight, who's backing off you all the time, then, you're not going to catch him clean. It takes two to fight, and that's the point I was trying to make, was that once Haye starts unloading his bombs, that's when he becomes invulnerable, and that's when he's liable to be caught by a counter-punch. And he wasn't unloading them. And I think had he been doing that, I think Klitschko may have stopped him.
Vladimir, he was coming forward all the time, wasn't he? So you'd have liked to see maybe David Haye, his best chance would have been, if he'd gone for it a bit more. Well, all right, he was taking the risk of getting caught, but, you got to go for it, haven't you?
If you're going in there with a broken toe, which he said is what he's done, then I won't use the phrase, probably another phrase, is like, it's do or die. You think, right, I'm not going to win this fight, I've got something wrong with me. If he's got something wrong with me, I've got something wrong with me. So I'm going to give it, for 3 rounds, I'm going to give it my all. And he didn't do that.
Or get through the 12.
Frank, has he gone down like that before, slipping? I found that weird. Now, I don't know has he done that ever before?
I've not seen him to do that before, to be quite honest. And if a guy's coming in underneath you, bending like that, and as you say, slips a couple of times, what do you do when someone's coming forward? When someone's coming in low, you're worried about if they come up, their head's going to catch, is going to come up and hit you under the chin or something. So your natural reaction is to push down, and you don't put yourself in that position. You always, if you find a guy who's bigger, who's got more weight, the last thing you want is him leaning all over you. So you don't put yourself in that position. And the bottom line is, I just don't think David Haye had a clue how to beat Klitschko. He just did not have the idea how to beat him. And all the secret plans, the tactics, he did for me. Really, what he did against Valiev, which was box on the back foot. I mean, you turned the sound down on that fight. It wasn't a great fight to watch. No. At the very end, he threw a bomb at the end and he caught him, but it wasn't the most great spectacular. And it was a split decision. And for the first 2.5 rounds of Audley Harrison, he never threw a punch, neither did Audley Harrison. And it was turning into one of those fights, and it would have been one of those fights had it been for Klitschko, you know, who was more dominant and you know, and come to fight.
Where does he go from here, David Haye, Frank? What would you know, if you were looking after David, where does he go?
Well, he said he wants to retire in October. I don't know why he's hanging around. I mean, he's not going to fight He's not going to fight Klitschko again. And who, you know, if he fought Vitali, is he going to beat him? It'd just be a money-making exercise. What fights are there for him at heavyweight? I just don't see a fight out there, you know, at heavyweight.
You don't think his brother? You don't think Vitali in London?
Well, if Vitali comes to London, what's the difference? What are you going to see that's different from that fight? Vitali is, you know, he's a
well, he might take a chance for a start. He might have learned from the first one and say, OK, it's do or die. I'll take a few chances.
Well, he could do that, but he'd get knocked out.
OK, Frank, nice one.
Happens, that would be my prediction.
Frank, just give us, before you go, Frank, what's a big one coming up? What is with some of your guys?
Well, we were supposed to have Kevin Mitchell fighting against John Murray on the 9th. Unfortunately, Kevin picked up the virus and he didn't want to go into the fight with something, you know, being not 100%, and that's pushed him back a bit. So we're switching that fight to go on the card of Ricky Burns and Nicky Cook in Liverpool on the 16th. So that's going to be a bumper night up there, and unfortunately that's cancelled a show out in London.
How is Kevin at the moment, Frank? Is he okay? Is he in a good place?
I see him a few days ago. He's been training exceptionally well. Jimmy Tibbs, who's his trainer, has he's really got to grips with him, and he's in. You know, there's gonna be no excuses.
Amazing talent. Amazing talent.
But you know, John Murray's a really good fighter, and I think, you know, between them 62 fights and only one loss, that is going to be a great fight. As is going to be Nicky Cook and Ricky Burns, who's defending his title. You know, it's a good quality show.
Cool. Frank, we look forward to it. Thanks for your time this morning. Thank you. Frank Warren, top boxing pro, and we wish Kevin Mitchell well. I really mean that.